else had coached the Columbus.
Okay.
Is because he's still under contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs until the end of this month. So this is kind of when that would be official. But this does make quite a bit of sense. I mean, the last time the Blue Jackets were in a pretty big rut, what did Jarmo Kekalainen do? He went and hired John Tortorella as the head coach. So he's not scared of going to hire a hard coach who ain't afraid to lay down the gauntlet. And if you don't know what's going on with Mike Babcock and the reason he hasn't been in the NHL for years, tons of stories came out about him and his treatment of players and his coaching style. I mean, there was the Mitch Marner ranking teammates thing where he publicly embarrassed him as a rookie. Johan Franzen called him the worst person. He's detailed the incredibly negative impact that Mike Babcock didn't just have on his career but on his life as a person. There's also Mike Commodore, who literally hates Mike Babcock's guts. Every chance Mike Commodore gets, he comes out and rips Babcock to shreds. So he's definitely got his haters, that's for sure. And look, nobody's doubting that Mike Babcock is a successful coach. I mean, the gold medals, the Stanley Cups, you can't argue with the success. However, is this a style that really works in today's NHL? I'm not so sure, and my mind immediately jumps to Johnny Gaudreau. Now, I know a lot of people can say, well, he was just with Daryl Sutter, and him and his dad have mentioned multiple times that Johnny plays his best under hard-nosed coaches, and he had a career high in points under Daryl Sutter, who is one of, if not the hardest coach in the league. And yeah, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that he likes playing for that type of coach, and it doesn't mean that he's willing to do that long-term. I mean, he's gone, isn't he? He left, and by all accounts, Daryl Sutter, being the coach of the Calgary Flames, played a role in Johnny Gaudreau leaving, just like it did for Matthew Tkachuk. Tkachuk had his best season before this one with Daryl Sutter as the head coach, but go listen to what he said on Spin Chicklets about Daryl Sutter. He's not a huge fan of Daryl, and look, he's not overtly Mike Commodoring Daryl Sutter, but you can tell that he was not a fan, and it's been mentioned by insiders that Daryl Sutter being there definitely played a role in Tkachuk not wanting to come back. And look, I fully understand that Mike Babcock probably is going to walk into this job with a new mindset and be like, hey, yeah, you know what, I probably have to change my style if I want to stay a coach in this league. So that's good news, but hey, his reputation precedes him. Okay, he's going to have to fight hard to make sure that that's not something that follows him into this next job. And if I'm Johnny Gaudreau, I jump from Daryl Sutter to Mike Babcock, maybe the two hardest coaches in the league, with Tortorella in there. That's probably the trifecta. I'm shaking my head here if I'm him. And who knows, maybe he was part of this process. I mean, there's a very real possibility that they went to Johnny Gaudreau and said, hey, what kind of coach do you want? Do you want a harder coach? You said you like that. That's very possible too, and maybe this works out better. And again, maybe Babcock is going to approach this job differently. He has to approach this job differently. So maybe that's working for them. Could very well be the case, but for right now...
To make it here takes blood, sweat,
There is happened 2 weeks ago, but anyway.
finals.
So if you haven't heard already, the city of Tempe voted no for a new arena for the Arizona Coyotes,
So,
essentially putting their entire future in Arizona up in the air, and by that means that they're probably moving. And look, I know we do joke all the time about Arizona having like no fans and nobody cares, but there are some people who are probably absolutely gutted about this news that they're losing their team. So I do feel for those people who support the Yotes and who give their money to that team and support that franchise through thick and thin. And hey, there's been a lot of thin in Arizona throughout their 25-year tenure. And honestly, this has got to be one of the worst days in Gary Bettman's life. This dude tries almost everything. He tries to
I want revenge.
keep the Coyotes in Arizona. And today's the day that the dam finally breaks. And I don't even think even the almighty Gary can keep the team in Arizona now. I think they're going to have to move. And honestly, top of the list is Houston. I don't think is an extreme long shot. Sorry, Dad. I know he wants that so much. And honestly, I want it too so bad. But I think it's going to be either Houston or Kansas City. Or, I mean, maybe they'll give a third kick to Kansas with Atlanta.
I already made a video.
But the reason I think it's going to be Houston is because it has a few major advantages that the other cities don't. First of all, you can have a city with NHL hockey that's the fourth biggest in the entire United States with over 2.3 million people. It's huge. huge, man. There's so many people. By adding hockey, you'd have all four major sports in Houston, because they've got the Texans in the NFL, they've got the Astros in baseball, and they've got the Rockets in basketball. They've also got an NHL-ready arena. That's huge here, because what sunk the Atlanta Thrashers in 2011, it wasn't the fans not showing up. It wasn't the crazy mascot shenanigans they did. No. It was that they didn't have a building. That's what sunk the Thrashers in 2011. That's what's about to sink the Arizona Coyotes. You need an up-to-par NHL rink if you want to be in the NHL. It's pretty simple, but hey, when you get to the nitty-gritty, it gets complicated. And Houston has an amazing arena ready to go. They've seen hockey in it before, because the Houston Aeros, they played hockey at WHA in like the 70s, but they also played in the AHL at the Toyota Center in the 2000s. So just like that, you've got two reasons why Houston would make more money than Arizona ever has with an NHL market. And you've also got the fan with the Dallas Stars. Don't underestimate how much fan interest and buzz that's going to create. That's going to bring new fans over. And they're two really, really big cities. And honestly, Dallas is a slam dunk for the NHL. The Dallas Stars franchise is a resounding success. So in Houston, I think it would be more of the same, and a Battle of Texas.
Okay, that's just
epic.
my opinion.
I really think this would be a home